Judith,
Hello.
welcome to the Rise Revolution.
Wow, thank you for this invitation. I just turned 70 and I can proudly say I'm a virgin to the world of summits. This is my very first summit. So talk about a portal I'm walking through right now. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, you know what? Thank you for trusting me with
Mm.
this virgin experience of, your first time being on a summit. I appreciate your trust in
Yeah.
me. We talked. It's been a few weeks yet since we talked last, and I think we could have talked for hours had we had the
Yeah.
time, Judith. And I just love everything that you have to say. And
You.
so I think what you have to share is really, really important. And so I'm so glad that you agreed to be here and with us. And thank you, Judy, for connecting us. Yeah, we're going to be talking about midlife isn't a decline, it's a portal.
Mm. Well,
Yes.
well, it's kind of ironic that I would even title it like that because, quite frankly, it was a total decline for me. My whole midlife was crash, crash, crash. And it sounds like that's kind of a running theme from Judy when listening to her story. Um, and it was such a decline that I almost died. And I had to write a book about the experience of doing everything that I had felt like I was supposed to do in life. And as Rebecca Campbell calls that, the fated life, the life that we're born into. And when you step through that doorway or portal to your destiny life, which takes a lot more courage and strength than staying on that status quo fated life. And I was resisting that portal for 10 years. My midlife started at 50 when my menses stopped. So my cycle literally stopped at 50. I almost died at 60. And then I wrote a book and published it at 70. And it covers the gamut of all that midlife embodies. It's not just a book about cancer. And when you asked me to, well, Judy introduced us and then you invited me to come on after our chat, I started thinking about, well, what is midlife? I'm kind of, officially graduated from it. I'm now at the tail end of midlife and now into more my grown wise woman years. So I'm kind of a midwife about midlife. And wow, the experience that we all embody and go through, we bring to the table as to our clients. And I'm realizing I could do a whole workshop on midlife just from preparing. What do I really want to talk about? That how is midlife like a portal? And it got so many different wheels turning and churning that I was trying to look at all these different angles about hormones, body, what we eat, what we used to eat, what we can't eat, relationships. It's almost as if when you go through a period of midlife and you stand at that doorway that could be the abyss, or you could take off and fly, whatever it is that you choose to do. And the falling into the abyss, as long as you wake up in the dream and don't hit the bottom, you can spread the wings and move forward. And I almost died because I'd had enough and I didn't want to be here anymore. And I'd done a lot of good work. I did help Judy. Oh, it was so wonderful to be invited to her baby's births. And it was a very, very unusual labor and birth because I was there as not only a doula, but a practitioner of hypnosis. And we're talking about really intense hypnosis. So she could have needles if she needed that or whatever. So that was another portal I had to walk through in my work as a labor doula or labor specialist. And what I'm realizing is that every situation in my life has been that doorway to walk through and stretch myself. And midlife is no different in its entirety as well as its incremental moments. That when you get that gloom or doom or aha, because they both happen, time slows down. It doesn't speed up. It slows down and you go into this suspended state in the dream and you're going, what was that? And my brother Tony always used to say, well, it sounds like an opportunity for growth when I got cancer. And I went, yeah, a really big opportunity for growth. And then it took me 11 years to write the book that I didn't know I was writing because my whole life I'd been told I didn't know how to write. But when I walked through that portal of 10 years prior to that, being so angry and so misplaced, and so 20, 25 years of introducing alternative remedies and therapies and practices in the birth field in New York City, um, of all places. This is a big, big spoke in the wheel of life. This city, it can gobble you up and spit you out in a New York minute. And I had spent 25 years of just, you know, water birth, midwifery, placenta encapsulation, doulas, home births, all these different things. And it doesn't matter what we're doing because it's a different story, but the energies behind it, the principles and all of that lessons are all exactly the same. And I was going up against doors that were shut, shut, shut. And I never felt like I had a portal I could walk through. So standing on the precipice of wanting to die, and in a 10-year period, manifesting all these bubbles of anger in my body, in along my vena cava, which is the largest artery that supplies blood, oxygen. And when you look at the symbology of the body and where the cancer's held, or the illness is a cold, a flu, cancer, it's no different. One's just a little more pronounced. But the body symbology can give you information about what's the emotional, what's the societal, what's the mental, all the different factors that are not so conscious. And I was blowing up in my belly with a blood cancer. And it took me cancer in order to write a book, go beyond the information I'd received my whole life that you don't know how to write, you don't spell good, we've got all these wonderful tools that we can use. And in midlife, whether you're writing a book or changing a job or getting a divorce, whatever you're doing, use your tools. Whatever teachers, whatever books, whatever practices that you might use, utilize them. I'm into cards. I like Rebecca Campbell's Starseed. I pull a card when I need additional insight. Um, I understand midlife is all about hormones and all kinds of things going on. So Susan Weed has a great book about the menopausal years. And we're in physical, tangible, visceral, soft tissue bodies, and hormone changes are very real. So it's not about, just sitting there going, okay, I'm going to wish it away and it's not going to happen. It's happening. So you be in it, you take care of yourself, remove a layer of clothing, get the fans out on the subway, you work with the tools you got, you find your sense of humor, you start crying in the middle of walking down the street, which is a normal thing in New York City, unfortunately. It's such a vortex. And another shout out I want to give to somebody, I know I'm kind of going, blah, 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 is Christiane Northbrook just came out with her fourth edition of The Wisdom of Menopause. And, you know, my research has shown that menopause is starting, like periods are starting for girls at 8 instead of, 13 when I was going through my experience at 11, and that was considered very early. And women are menopausing at age 39 and 40, which was an interesting statistic when Generally speaking, in my time, again, I'm another generation, started around late 40s, you perimenopause, and then by 50s, mid 50s, you're menopausing. Everything's in such an acceleration of experience and frequency and vibration right now. So everything we learned 50 years ago, forget about it. It's all like churning up fast, 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 fast. And
Yes.
we have the ability to pay attention in that moment, ground ourselves with a breath, because that is the first thing we do when we come out of the mom, and it's the last thing we do when we go away and out of the body. So the breath is the most sacred, precious commodity that
Mhm.
you could you could have. And it's free and it's here and it's in our body and you don't need a tool. Just have
Okay, we're gonna take a breath here, Judith, because I think what you talked about is so important. I mean, there's
okay.
many things here that you've talked about, and I think I love that what you talked about it being a portal. Like we can choose to look at it this way. I
Mhm.
often say menopause doesn't have to just be a transition. This is a time for transformation. Um, should we choose it? But what you're saying right now about the breath. I think many people don't give enough credit to the breath and how very important it is in everything we're doing. And I love that you said it's the first thing we do when we're born, and it's the last thing we do before we leave this plane. And but we can also use it. It is also a tool, just like you're saying, use your tools. Breathing, breath work is one of the most amazing tools we have
In our toolbox.
in our toolbox, and it's free and it's readily available.
I think what's important to state here too about, and I'm not saying that there's one way to do the breath better than the other. And I learned this after 40, almost 40 years of working with pregnancy, labor and birth, and helping over 3,000 couples in labor and birth and attending over 1,000 of those births physically, is that everybody's learning all these breath techniques on how to push the baby out, how to get through second stage labor, and all these things. And bottom line, everyone out there, just frickin' breathe. Just in through the nose, out through the mouth. Just stop, place your hand on your heart, change the chemistry, use your left hand, your right brain, put your hand on your heart, close your eyes, get away from the situation, and just take a breath. Slow it down. And that way you don't have to intellectualize it. You don't have to go, okay, in for 4, hold for 4, and then I think I'm out for 6 or 8. I can't remember. You're no, just entrain between the heart and the brain by doing a physical, tangible thing on the body. So there's a tool right there. And
Mhm.
I agree with, I've only been on for a couple of speakers. Going inside, we are our greatest guide. And as the frequency vibration on the planet is changing and accelerating, even though in midlife, when we hit those moments of overwhelm or aha, it stretches and slows down so that we can put our hand on our heart, take a breath. And I say that even when you're in a state of such joy and such happiness, to really take that into your systems, because then your systems will remember it on a recall by just putting your hand on your heart.
Mhm.
The recalibration is an amazing tool that we have at our disposal at any time.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I love that you said not just when we're overwhelmed or, you know, stop and pause when you're in complete joy.
mhm,
And when you're feeling wonderful and happy, that's also a time to stop and take that in. I mean, really, isn't it about just being present?
yeah, yeah. If you're worrying, you're either in the past or the future. If you're
Right.
thinking about the past, you're not right now. If you use but, and, well, I can't, then all of that is, again, all the fear, not the trust. I don't. know how many times I've said, Judith, just trust, just trust, just trust, just trust it. It doesn't feel like it's working. Trust it. It's working. Or I'm grieving the loss of a relationship, or something broke in my apartment. When something breaks or something leaves, it has its expiration date. And particularly when something breaks in your environment, literally like a glass or a favorite vase. I had a beautiful crystal bowl that I used because I did a lot of sound healing in my early years in New York. And it was sitting on the edge of a shelf near my window, and there was a big storm. I don't think the lightning came through. I think the vibration of the thunder jiggled it, and it fell down. It had a huge, huge crack. It sounded like a gunshot. I hit the floor because I'm in New York City and I don't know what's going on. And my huge crystal bowl that I'd used for decades was gone. And I realized at that point what I'd heard from a Native American woman many, many years ago, wise woman, that when something breaks around you, it's relieving a pressure or a stress in your
Mm,
life or your system, or it's taking that so it doesn't have to go into your cell tissues.
I like that.
Yeah, it's then it reframes the whole process of the
Yes.
loss. And one of the things when I was talking about, okay, um, portals are recycling things and relationships and stuff that no longer fits. It's almost as if we go into this big, between 45 and 65, this big giant Marie Kondo moment of, okay, that's not working anymore. And just saying, I don't believe I put up for with this for so long. I'm not going to do it anymore. And then literally say, sorry, love you, but bye-bye now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
There's a
that,
lot of that, isn't there, that happens during these years.
yeah.
That we just we just stop tolerating things.
Well, it's not just a physical hormonal thing. It's I think, we're beings of emotions, thoughts, spirit, all the different bodies that go with that.
Yeah.
We it's almost as if there is a switch being turned on and going, wow, that I've been sitting around for 25 years listening to that, feeling that, going through that. I'm not going to do it anymore. And when I had cancer and had those 10 years of really exhaustion because everything I was trying to introduce to the world was just being shut, shut, shut. And I just went, listen, you guys, I've done the best I can do. I'm so out of here. And I don't want to commit suicide. That's not my spiritual practice. I got to come back and do it again. So I just stated all that anger into the cell tissues of my body, right in the center of my most powerful area, the abdominal and lower abdominal area. And with that explosion and getting it to the point where I was in an emergent state when I finally got to and that's what the book is about, is kind of an interesting journey that I just waited till the last minute. And apparently, some part of us, that deeper part of us, knows you're either going to stick around or you're going to leave. And
Yeah.
I needed to stick around. So I showed up and just said, what's next? What's next? But I have to tell you, this last year where I put together a new website, new social media profile, the book launch, all these things that came. I spoke at a gala, I turned 70. This year was harder than chemo. And when I say that to people, they go, what? This was a really big portal I stepped through. And many times, I was a puddle on the floor going, really? This is what I'm doing? Or shouldn't I be retiring and just thinking about taking my next trip? But I didn't choreograph my life that way. I
Right.
had to pick myself up off the floor and say, okay, this is what's next.
I love it. And I love that you've done that because Judith, if you hadn't done that, said, what's next? We wouldn't be able to have this conversation.
And
We wouldn't be
yeah.
having this conversation now. But you
Yeah.
think about the impact of you saying, all right, what's next? The impact that that has on so many other people. The impact,
Yeah.
right?
You know what was an interesting exercise? I kept a lot of letters, love letters from people that over the years, and when I was cleaning things out, and I gave away my legacy birth library and supplies and everything to an organization down in uh, in Albuquerque, and I got the inspiration. This is the other thing, people. Listen to your dreams. It came through in a dream. It was during pre-COVID time and or post-COVID time. Oh, I know the dates are. I had a fever, and I woke up at 3:30 in the morning, and I was sweating. I just had a dream, and in the dream, I saw somebody driving a white van across the country, and I went down to the van, and I said, "Oh, it's me." And I said, "What are you doing?" And I said to myself, "Well, I'm driving down to the Southwest." And I went, "Well, what's in the van?" And I said, "Your birth legacy library." And then I woke up and I went, "Okay, well, that's the next step. I got to get rid of all these things and give them to an organization." So your dreams are pivotal and trust them, listen to them, write down. If you can't remember the dream, remember the color yellow, remember Aunt Martha, or an image or something. And from that experience, I started cleaning out letters, and I read all these beloved letters to people that lives I had helped. And quite frankly, I didn't remember a lot of the people who they were in the experience that we had encountered. So you just never know,
You
who you
just
are touching.
And you do, you
You're
really,
right.
really do. And even, like they say that what 7 degrees of separation, you know, the people
Yep.
that you touch, that what you've done helps them to, pass that on. And it's incredible what happens, when you think about your light and then other people light their lights and then they help other people light, like you think of all the light when we allow ourselves to shine our light. Now,
Yeah.
Judith, you have a free gift for all of us here today. We could talk for hours. I know this, but we don't have hours.
We
But
don't.
you have a free gift for
Yes.
everyone here today. Can you tell us a little bit about that gift?
Yes, I am. I'm born under the zodiac of the Scorpio, so I'm a water sign, and I assisted the first underwater birth in New York City in 1987. I love water. I always use baths, showers, or foot soaks to be part of my regime in my life to recalibrate and especially my lymphatic system to detoxify. So I have a medicinal bath for everybody. Now, let me just say there are a lot of elements and a lot of chemistry that's gone into this bath. And if there's anything that when I showed this to a few people, they said, "Really? You put all that into the bath?" And I said, "Well, take baby steps, just do a few things at a time, but just remember you're detoxifying." So that's my gift to everybody. And if you don't have a bathtub, because believe it or not, some people don't have bathtubs, you can do a foot soak with the
Oh,
ingredients is on a smaller scale of materials.
wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful. So, a detox bath, a detox foot soak for midlife renewal. Please, put a one in the chat that says that link is working so we know you want this detox bath. Now, if you want the recording of our conversation, if you want over $3,000 worth of free V or VIP exclusive VIP gifts, upgrade for $59 Canadian. You can go to the riserevolutionsummit.com for that. We have Krista Rose coming up next, healing through EFT and
Oh
holistic
dear.
practices. And before we go for our break here, Judith, what's one last thing you'd like
All
to
right.
leave us
I
with?
don't know what happened, but I can't hear
Oh, I'm not
Leslie.
sure. Can everybody else hear me?
You
Okay.
just went you a little frozen for a moment.
Okay. I think it might be on your side, Judith.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So we've got like 1 minute left. What's one last thing that you'd like to leave us with, Judith?
Midlife. is the portal that burns off everything that isn't you,
Ah,
so that you can finally walk forward as the woman or the person you came here to be.
I love that. Midlife is the portal.
Burns off everything that in you so that you can finally walk forward as the woman or the person that you came to be.
I love
The
that.
destiny life versus the fated life.
I love that. I love that. Judith, thank you so much for being here, allowing us to be your
Welcome.
first time on a summit. I
Thank you.
appreciate that. Thank you for allowing me to hold that space. I appreciate you, and I'm honored that you came here. Thanks for being part of the Rise Revolution.
Thank you so much.